Gramsci's Common Sense, Inequality and Its Narratives is a book about the 20th century Italian Marxist and political activist Antonio Gramsci, a man who died in 1937 after years of incarceration by the fascist dictator Benedetto Mussolini. The book argues that the now celebrated notebooks he wrote while imprisoned offer us an approach to understanding our own historical moment, a moment of seemingly ever-increasing inequality. Gramsci is very much part of the Marxist tradition, but the Marxism he offers us is not narrowly economistic, but broad and inclusive, encompassing the many different dimensions of lived inequality. To map Gramsci's multifaceted approach, I focus on three concepts central to his thought: subalternity, intellectuals, and common sense. Taken together, I argue, these constitute an approach to understanding inequality that allows us to trace out the complex relationship between the actuality of the circumstances in which people live and the narratives they use to make sense of those circumstances. Gramsci's concept of subalternity gathers together the many different forms in which inequality and oppression manifest themselves. Its richness lies in this heterogeneity. It encompasses all those who are oppressed rather than oppressing, ruled rather than ruling. But while he is attentive to lived inequality in all its diversity, Gramsci's primary concern is collective experiences of subalternity, those that have the potential to create new historical subjects capable of radical social transformation. To render the world they inhabit intelligible, Gramsci argues, subalterns rely on senso comune, common sense, all those taken for granted facts that need no evidence to substantiate them. Those who would transform society must, he insists, treat this common sense with the utmost seriousness. He is equally insistent, however, that common sense should not be romanticized. As a whole, it is incoherent and contradictory. Although it contains what he terms good sense, buon senso, this comes encrusted with a mass of beliefs that are anything but good sense. Intellectuals are necessary if the nuggets of good sense to be found in common sense are to be transformed into coherent, effective political narratives. Intellectuals are central for Gramsci, but, and this needs to be stressed, he rejects conventional definitions of the intellectual. Intellectuals are not defined for him by any specific mental skills, but by the role they have in society. Intellectuals are those whose social role is to produce knowledge. The relationship between subalterns and intellectuals in the notebooks is complex and dialogical. Genuinely new, potentially transformative political narratives always have their origin in the incoherent knowledge generated by subaltern experience. Progressive intellectuals must be educated by this knowledge. The second part of Gramsci's Common Sense provides 3 case studies illustrating how Gramsci's concepts of subalternity, intellectuals, and common sense might help those trying to understand the globalized world of the 21st century. The first focuses on Adam Smith, a thinker who would come to be seen as one of the first theorists of capitalism. This is followed by two contemporary case studies that look at political movements from the US, from opposite ends of the political spectrum, the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street, each of which could be seen as having attempted to bring into being a specific common sense. My hope is that Gramsci's common sense shows how, in his prison notebooks, Mussolini's prisoner offers us a Marxism that can not only help us understand our own troubled times, but suggests the kind of steps we need to take to create a fairer, juster world.